Okay. I think this was probably one of my favorite Charlie Kirk debates. So here.
My name is Blake.
Watch out, everybody. The master debate here. This freedom of speech, if you don't like it,
Why don't come up to the mic? Come up to the mic. Come up to the mic. No, come on, come up to the mic. Since you're so smart, show the world how smart you are. We'll give you our mic, not your bullhorn. So come on up. So now we know that you're like a pension at all times to cut in line. Tell us what's so pressing that you needed to interrupt us before he could even talk.
So let's talk about the 200 people deported without due process to El Salvador. I don't know if you saw this morning, but a United States citizen was actually deported.
It was not a U.S. citizen. That's not correct.
Liar.
A U.S. citizen. It
What?
was actually,
Come on.
no, it was someone that was living here. Yeah, it was not a U.S. citizen.
Hey, this guy just lies. He it's not.
No.
Hey, no. You wanna have a debate, but you don't.
It was
debate.
not a U.S. citizen. First of all.
you want to have a debate, but you actually don't debate. There's nothing more ill-fated than this.
So
No, you're not.
we already have a mic.
Name two times. Name two times where you've changed
Show
your
me
mind.
you're losing without telling me you're losing.
What? So you're just gonna lie?
Well, first of all, it's not a U.S. citizen. He was living here for a while. He was part of MS-13. Sir, yes or no?
Okay.
Should members of a terrorist organization be able to stay in the United States after they've murdered, raped, and gone after
No,
American citizens?
obviously no.
So we have deported those back to their country.
The Fifth Amendment
That's what they've done.
calls for due
The Fifth
process.
Amendment does not apply to
That's
citizens
bullshit.
that are
It
here
says
illegally.
all persons.
No. It's only
No.
to U.S. citizens.
That's a lie. He's
okay.
a liar.
So, okay.
He can't debate. He just
Okay,
lies.
you've now sworn like 3 times. Let's just
What,
calm
you don't
down
like
a little
freedom
bit.
of speech?
Well, I mean, you could say whatever you want if you want to make a fool of yourself, but we do have like 10-year-olds here and 11-year-olds, so
I
can we
don't
have some
care.
decency?
Whatever.
Okay, you don't care. You're a typical leftist because you only care about yourself,
Who said I was
not
a,
other people.
Who said I was a left?
Yes, he is a leftist because he's acting like a leftist. Leftist masquerading as independence.
Well, it's very clear by how you're acting. Let me ask you a question. Should we be able to deport terrorists that are here in the United States?
With due process.
And we gave them due process.
What was the due process?
They were part of MS-13.
Then how
It
did
was
it
very clear.
No,
and
that
now
is
they're
not
in an
true.
El Salvadorian jail.
That literally
But
isn't true.
most
Also, why wouldn't
importantly,
they just get deported? Why would they get sent to a jail?
well,
That-
deported to a jail. By the way,
Not-
many of these people
not even their country. They're not from
many
El
of these,
Salvador.
Many of these people were already for crimes that they committed against the United States of America. So do we have a right to decide who is in the interior of the United States?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what's your big
It's
disagreement?
called due process.
Again, the due process,
Hold on.
if every single one of them got their own trial and their own date,
They did not get a trial.
if they
That's
got
the
that,
problem.
if they got that, it would take us 10 years to deport like 200 people. We have a constitutional right to be under the Alien Invaders Act of 1798 to be able to
We're
repel.
not at war.
Well, hold on. We are at war. We've been invaded by 10 million
Congress
people
has
over the
to-
last 4
Congress
years.
has to declare an act of
Actually,
war.
that's not correct. Congress never declared war against Iraq. We never declared war against Afghanistan. We actually never had an official declaration of war against Vietnam.
Well, everybody
the President
knows
of the United States.
America commits war crimes
Hold on.
every
Okay,
day.
that's a separate issue.
And
But
supports
let's stay.
Israel committing
Let's stay
genocide.
focused. Who is the commander in chief? Yes. So if give you proof, the Venezuelan government labels an invasion, it is an invasion. So Venezuela opens up their prisons and sends in Vietnam.
Well, everybody
the president
knows
of-
America commits war crimes
Hold on.
every day.
Okay, that's a separate issue.
And
But
supports
let's stay.
Israel committing
Let's stay
genocide.
focused. Who is the commander in chief?
Donald Trump.
Yes. So if the praise God. So if the commander-in-chief labels an invasion, it is an invasion. So when Venezuela opens up their prisons and sends in and to the interior of the United States, we have the right.
Proof.
We have the give you proof. The Venezuelan government has been found with a bipartisan congressional study that they have been sending the worst of their citizens to our country to increase crime, to kill people like Lake and Riley, to come into our communities. We have the opportunity and the ability, based on the laws of the land, to say that this is an invasion from a foreign country and we are repelling it. And by the way, how is it not an invasion when 10 million people come into your country uninvited?
That is an unfact number.
Okay,
That is
then let me
straight
ask,
up
what
pulled
is
out
an
of your
invasion?
ass.
What is an invasion?
I would call an invasion. I would call an invasion similar to it.
I will call an invasion when you break into someone's country or break into someone's property. Is when you ambush someone. Like, for example, guerrilla warfare, they can invade the battlefield to take out a big chunk of the military government. That's what I would call an invasion. Or an invasion is pretty much breaking into someone's property or breaking into someone's country.
Israel in Gaza.
Hold on.
That's an invasion.
Hold on. No. Don't give me like a definition, like a textbook. Define the term.
It's a military conflict.
Okay, so what you mean when they come with weapons and they're all military-age men and they come into the interior of the United States and that they're being prompted by a government or a cartel? How is that not a invasion?
He's not.
No. Answer the question. I never said he was a king. He's a duly elected president. So is it not an invasion?
No, it's called illegal immigration, and you do
okay.
it and you solve it via due process.
Okay,
it's not
so
an invasion.
At what point would it become an invasion?
Probably whenever they like tear down the border and actually like steamroll in with military like vehicles.
Yeah, we would have no idea what that would look like, right?
No, we do know what it look like. It's what's happening in Israel and Gaza right now.
Okay, that's a whole separate issue that I'm happy to talk to you about.
It's a perfect example of an invasion.
No, hold on.
How is it not?
I actually agree that Israel has invaded Gaza. I agree. Okay, because they're using sophisticated military equipment like the Venezuelan cartel and the drug and the Sinaloan drug cartels.
They're
Secondly,
being funded by the
it's
United
planned by
States.
governments.
No.
Second, it's planned by governments. Third, and most importantly, do you think 10 million people that have come into this country since Joe Biden was president, was that good for America?
To be clear, I don't think you're here to actually have a debate because clearly you never change your mind. So
Well,
I'm actually not here.
But you,
I mean, the thing is, you were just that good at debating. He was just that good. That's the one thing I miss about him is college debate. I was not really a fan. I'm not really a fan of a lot of conservatives. Doesn't mean because I like Trump that I'm a conservative. I only rock with one individual, but I do miss his college debate. They were entertaining. And he was effective.
Debate you.
I've asked you
Because
5 or 6 questions and you
You're an
haven't.
ill-faith person.
Yeah, you interrupt.
Hey,
So-
do you condemn Elon Musk doing Nazi salutes?
Oh, so
Do you? It's simple. It's simple.
It's very simple. It was not a Nazi
Then
salute.
do it.
See,
Do
this
it.
done it multiple times. Ridiculous, preposterous thing to say. Instead, you
Then
are
why
mad.
are we using American
And-
police to protect his dealerships?
Well, hold on a second. Any place of private property is torched.
Why does
your
the,
home
why does the
or a
richest,
college campus.
Why does the
Shouldn't
richest
it be
person in the
protected?
world need our money
Hold on a
to
second.
protect his property?
Hold on a second. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. Make sure you're. That is the role of dealerships, or if private property is threatened by a mob, that is the role of the police to protect private property, whether it be a Wendy's being burned by Black Lives Matter or a Tesla dealership being burned by angry people like you. the police should protect private property from swarms and mobs and hordes of people that would never build something themselves, want to destroy the property of others. The first and final cause of government is to protect private property rights. That is a good role of the United States police force or the FBI or the ATF.
The police protecting the dealerships before they even before a mob is even there.
Hold on, preemptive.
Do you think that's a good use of taxpayer dollars?
Hundreds of Tesla
billionaires' property.
Hold on a second. It's not just billionaires' property. He employs well over 100,000 people. Tesla stock is held by teachers across the country,
and it's dropping not because of Americans, but because of Europe.
Do you want it to? Do you want it to drop?
Absolutely.
See, that is a sick and twisted worldview.
What you want? You want Target stock to drop T-flag?
Hold on a second.
Their stock?
First of all, Target doesn't really. Let me explain. Target doesn't really make yourself.
I work in construction and have since the age of 14.
Well, you're not working today, and it is a weekday.
Actually, I took off.
In America,
they're not designed.
Hold on a second. Most Teslas are made in America. So what you are cheering for is the disenfranchisement and unemployment of Americans. And that goes back to my point, is that from you interrupting to coming up to the mic, you are an agitator or a leftist that would never be able to build something yourself.
I work in construction and have since the age of 14.
Well, you're not working today, and it is a weekday.
Actually, I took off work, and it's lunch hour.
But
I work.
Let me further complete my point.
Worked 20 hours this week.
Allow me to
this
further.
Isn't a job.
Wow, 20.
You call this
20
a job?
hours? Wow.
Yeah, and it's Tuesday. I started yesterday.
Allow me to further complete my point, which is that it is easy to interrupt and to scold and to insult. You know what's hard? To go actually build a company like Tesla or SpaceX. How about you say thank you for Elon Musk rescuing those astronauts that were stranded by Joe Biden? Can you say thank you, Elon Musk, for rescuing the astronauts? Can you say that?
I think Elon Musk for taking a chainsaw to the National Park Service, multiple services.
So
aren't you an Eagle Scout?
What would you have to say?
Did you even graduate college?
No.
In fact,
I didn't go to college. I've been able to be pretty successful without a 4-year degree.
College.
Yeah, I did not go to college.
You're going to come to college and act like you know.
So
fucking better
are we
going
to debate resumes or ideas?
Ideas.
Because if we want,
it's a good idea to just defund every major.
Do you want to debate resumes or ideas? Because if you want to argue from authority as if you're somehow smarter than I am because you have a meaningless 4-year college degree, or do we want to say who's actually right or wrong? You're engaging in a logical fallacy when you do that.
Do you think it's meaningless to have a degree in construction engineering?
Honestly,
be
most college degrees are largely meaningless. Yes, most college degrees are meaningless, and most of you guys are being totally scammed by being. Now, let me further complete the point.
So getting educated is a scam.
Most times, first of all, it's not always an education.
I mean, the fact-based courses, AI took over, but hands-on classes and musical classes, or even hard classes, these degrees aren't useless. And courses that has to do with sound, labs, and heart, they're not useless. They are not useless courses.
And you are evidence that you haven't really been educated. You are hyper hostile. You have no humility. You have very little wisdom about the works, and you want so badly to be recognized and noticed. You came with your own bullhorn to cut in line someone who patiently waited to ask the first question. What have you actually learned at this institution except that you're the center of the world and everyone must listen to you? In fact, there is a God and you are not him. And instead of
you go to countries, or you go to campuses and agitate people for like this exact scenario.
I sit here and ask questions. You're the agitator, not me.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, correct. That's free speech.
But how are you having to? This is free speech, and yet you're upset about it.
Well, no, the way that you've conducted yourself, I'm right to do it.
Free speech whenever college students protest against Israel committing Gaza,
sometimes
and getting black bags.
Well, it depends.
In Central Louisiana.
Well, it depends. If they storm a library and are violent against other students, then not so much.
What about all the peaceful ones?
It depends on a case by case. But the students want another question, and I do agree with them, because you embody the worst of this generation, which is, and
are you looking in the mirror?
And I do look in the mirror. You know what I see? I see a sinner that wouldn't act the way you do, which is constantly interrupting, someone that wants to always be, the center of conversation, hyper narcissistic.
This is what I think. I think
attitude,
you're
personality.
You name two
also,
times your mind because
actually,
of a debate.
I have changed my mind plenty of times.
Give
In
two
fact,
examples.
I used to be anti-death penalty, and now I'm pro-death penalty. I used to be more libertarian on drugs,
but are you
and now I'm
pro-life?
less
Are you
libertarian on
abortion?
drugs.
Do you think
I am
believe
very
in-
much against abortion.
You're
in
against
fact.
abortion, even in a case.
Yes, I am.
Aren't
That's
you?
correct.
Wow, ladies,
Yes.
listen up. If you get, you're gonna have to hold their fucking baby.
Okay, but let's ask you a question. If I had an ultrasound of a baby conceived in, or an ultrasound of a baby conceived in a loving relationship, which one is which?
It doesn't matter. That's
no,
not the
because
context.
human rights do not stop based on the method of conception. Human rights are applied to all.
Wow.
In fact, did you know?
So rapists have more rights than a woman.
Well, actually, do you know that there's
about
someone?
the control of
do
their
you know?
body? You're
do you
saying
know
rapists
that
have
there's
more
someone in
control
this
than
audience?
the woman being
Did you,
raped?
there's someone in this audience that was conceived in. Can you tell me who it is?
It doesn't matter.
No, tell me who it is.
It
Because
doesn't matter. Why? What does that matter?
because
you're
what matters is babies conceived in don't get less human rights just because they were conceived in a nasty, ugly, evil way. Human rights apply to all people.
You're talking about a person versus an unborn fetus.
Oh, so what's the difference between an unborn baby and a person? What is the moral difference?
Well, one is living and breathing.
Well, how is the baby not living in utero? It has a heartbeat.
It would not live without the woman.
Hold on, but my 6-month-old baby won't live without my mom. It won't go hunt and gather for itself. My 10-month-old baby won't hunt and gather for itself. So how's that any different than a 2-month in utero?
It doesn't matter.
Hold on. No, answer the question. Answer the question. You used a degree of dependency argument.
Right. Have more rights.
No, I don't. I think that all human beings have rights because they're made in the image of God, and every human being has a life and not the right to be exterminated or extinguished.
Every human
just
being
because
has the right to life. You just said
Correct.
you're pro-death penalty. What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, so all right, so
it can't be both.
Okay, yes, it can. So
some lives are more important than others. That's what you're saying.
What did the person that was on death penalty to that punishment?
It depends on the crime.
They killed somebody.
No, that's not
if
always
you kill somebody, then your life should be taken
that's
from.
Not true.
Well,
it's dependent on the crime.
Hold on a second. Show me an instance of somebody who got the death penalty in America.
Don't burden me with the responsibility of educating you.
Show me an instance of somebody who got the death penalty in America the last 30 years that did not commit a capital offense.
I don't need to.
It does not exist. So therefore, a baby in utero did not go kill somebody. Somebody on death row killed somebody.
Yeah,
Are you smart enough or educated enough to see the difference between a baby in utero who did nothing wrong or someone that shut up a school?
Forget the
Do
baby.
you see
the
moral
is
difference?
women having control over their own body.
I agree.
That's the
so
issue.
I actually agree. In fact, I agree so much that
especially when you get
so much that unborn girls in the womb should not be killed because their body should also be respected. If it's not your DNA, it's not your choice. If it's not your DNA, it's not your choice. Thank you for your time, and I hope things through.
Okay, so I think this was one of my favorite Charlie Kirk debates. That debate was pretty good. So, yeah. Ever since he's been assassinated, people from the left tried to make him a bad person, but he was not a bad person. I think he was a good person. I mean, you just disagree with him the same way how you just disagree with him in regards to the Israel and Palestine conflict, and the same way how you probably disagree with people like Mira K, Tanish Peter, people who consider themselves Zionist. So all the left can do is take things out of context. Like when he said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake, he said part of the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. And If he see a black pilot, he wants to make sure that that pilot was qualified. He got qualified based on his own merits, not through through special treatment because he's a person of color. But man, his college debate was pretty entertaining. That's what Tyler Robinson took away from me, seeing his college debates. But that does not mean I was a fan of Charlie Kirk. I felt indifferent about him. And the thing is, Charlie Kirk YouTube channel is pretty much over because he's dead. He can no longer come back to life. Life is precious. So here. So this was Charlie Kirk YouTube channel. His Turning Point USA team are taking over, but they're not putting the number that Charlie Kirk was putting up. And this is over 5 million subscribers YouTube channel. But man, 2026, Trump is hitting the campaign trail. If Republicans defy history and they manage to retain the House of Representatives, I wonder what would all these left-wing political commentator reaction be. I wonder what Christopher Lee's reaction be. And I just think Christopher Lee is just a grifter. I don't think he believes anything he say. He's just riding a wave that help him grow his channel. And what helps grow his channel is using scaring tactics. Because most people on his audience, they don't really see past the thumbnails and the clickbait titles. But man, if only his audience were smart, no way no one will subscribe to any of his nonsense. And I remember Brittany Simon, she did a live stream and she said that Charlie Kirk was a bad person. Charlie Kirk was way more of a good person than George Floyd, who pretty much lived a life of crime. And when he was when he died, he was committing a crime and resisting arrest. Charlie Kirk, on the other hand, he was just debating college students, and he built a big organization, Turning Point USA. And he did play a role bringing the youth within the conservative movement. But like I said before, I don't think Trump needed any of them, because me, I think differently. Once RFK Jr. pulled out of the race, I knew Trump was going to be reelected, and he was. He swept all the swing states. Me, it does not matter to me being alone in my live stream, because I'm just built different. And I understand people have low attention span. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. So the purpose of this video was to show that this was by far one of my favorite Charlie Kirk debates.